we're going to be about a minute early today. Looks like we're going to be about a minute early. And I've already noticed one thing. I don't have my glass of H2O, so I'm going to have to definitely go get that. But let me see if I can find this broadcast and make sure we've got good audio.
About a minute early today.
Oh, perfect, perfect. This way we're not going to have to restart. We've got good, solid audio. And David mentioned Congressional Country Club yesterday, and so I figured I'd wear my Congressional Country Club shirt today. And Lance is in the house, Stig is in the house, and Carlos is in the house. And so this is part 2, and as always, if you didn't watch part 1 of Sartorial Talks, and where he talked about the 15 most elegant watches, and that's the one right there that I like the most. Definitely go back and watch part 1 so that you see the watches that we are talking about and you got an idea of what we are talking about. And let's see, Cheetown says, hey Craig, busy doing push-ups, so I'm passively engaged here. Okay, good move. Let me know how many sets you do and how many you do for each set. That'll be good information for us to have and share. Insanity here. We only wear masks at will. Date 8 Club in the house. Triforce Rich got the Date 8 stunner alert, as Carlos says. Do tell. Let us know all about it. I'm going to go grab my H2O real quick. I'll be right back. It'll only take me a moment, but I got to get my H2O. Stand by. Okay. And Lance says hi to Carlos, G-Town, and Triforce. Okay, I've got my H2O now. That is a necessity, especially since I just got done walking about 2 hours. And I had an orange. I did have an orange when I came back in, so that hydrated me a little bit, but definitely need some H2O. And okay, so let's get started on this. Let's review the list, first of all, of the watches that we talked about yesterday. And you can see the list right there. And they were in the order of more affordable to the super expensive. The simplicity, of course, being insanely expensive and very hard to get. The one I really liked was that Laurent Ferrier Galette Classic Tourbillon Double Spiral. That one right there. Let's play that, because that's the one I really liked. Let's play this.
Laurent Ferrier is a man. He was the head designer of Patek Philippe for like 30 and plus years, and he decided when he retired to continue crafting the watch according to his vision of watchmaking. I like Laurent Ferrier because he's a humble man, and the watch he's crafting are absolutely gorgeous, very, very, very high level, the high end, literally. And what I like in the watch that I'm going to show you now, that I had the chance, the pleasure, the honor to wear for almost 2 years, it's called a Galette Classique Tourbillon double spiral. So don't ask me what a tourbillon double spiral is. I know it's an extreme complication, but what I love in this watch, first of all, it's beautifully done, beautifully finished, it's fantastic, but is that there's a tourbillon double spiral. As far as I understand, it's a very high level complication, but this tourbillon is not on the front of the dial, it's on the back of the dial.
Okay, I'm going to pause that, and let's get here. Triforce Rich says, working out, so can't call in today, but it's stunning. Condition is great. The gold looks different in person, almost has a rosy tint in some lighting, but looks like a gold bar in the sun. Yeah, it should look straight up like 18 karat yellow gold. I never saw that rosy tint to my... well, inside the clasp, it did have a little bit of a rosy tint, but everything outside looked yellow gold to me. And David's in the house. Hi, Craig, and all. Congrats, Triforce Rich, on the date 8. Absolutely. And I can't wait to see it. Even if you send us some nice pictures, Triforce Rich, that would be better than nothing. And Cheetown says congratulations to the Richster. Okay. And Eduardo says hello. Hi, everyone. Okay. And Rexhep may have a possible future guest for you. Oh, excellent. Good. We need guests. Absolutely, we need guests. And Stig's in the house, and he says hi to Eduardo and Carlos. Triforce Rich says thanks, Chi. Also, have to say the weight is perfect. It has a quality feel, but doesn't feel super heavy like a modern one. Yeah, you're going to find that it's very, very comfortable on wrist. You're going to find that 18238 is amazingly comfortable on wrist. Cheetown, six sets of 10, Craig. I'm still recovering from a wrist fracture and a sprain. Okay, yeah, take it slow. I've actually taken a couple of days off because I felt a little bit of tenderness in my back. And I don't know if I was pushing it too hard. I've been doing 60 for the first set and then 3 sets of 50. And maybe I've gotten to where I've gotten up too fast, too far, and maybe I was pushing it a little bit. So I've actually taken a couple of days off. I took off Arms Day, which was yesterday, and Chest Day, which is today. So I took off 2 days of exercise. I've walked both days. I didn't stop walking or anything. And I will get back with arms tomorrow, starting again tomorrow, and then if I feel good, I'll do chest on Saturday, but I probably won't push quite as hard. Maybe I'll drop back down to 50 for the first set and take it a little bit easier. When you get older, you have to be careful about pushing things a little bit too hard. But the other reason I wanted to wear a sporty shirt today is to again illustrate that I think this watch is very versatile. I think it can be worn really with almost any attire, with pretty much any attire, really. Because I never dress like a bum, you know. Even if I was wearing jeans and a safari shirt and going out to the rodeo or something, you know, with a cowboy hat or something, I think I could still wear this watch. I think it would be fine. You know, back in the day, people generally wore watches on straps all the time. I mean, it was unusual, really, to have a watch on a bracelet. So I really think that this watch could be an all-arounder. Look at this. Oh, I got to focus this. Give me a second. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So that should go right. There we go. I think it could be worn as an all-arounder. I'm getting more and more convinced of that. Super comfortable on wrist, and it was a kind of a hot, humid day today. I wore it, and it was fine. It wasn't uncomfortable or anything like that. Didn't get like soaking wet with sweat. I think it might be possible. Tim says, saw the GS SBGN 005 Super Watch yesterday at a Seiko boutique. Okay. Now open, and you are right, it's lovely, and I love the detail on the chapter ring. Size is perfect. Tim in the house. Okay, so Tim, what are you considering? Are you considering locking and loading on one? Do tell. And Jeepu says, howdy fellas, and Cheetown says, Craig, how much do you enjoy going for walks out in Frederick County? I'm up near Camp David. It's beautiful here in the mountains, and beautiful hiking trails and so forth, and beautiful streams, and just wonderful places to walk. So yeah, where I am, it's absolutely gorgeous. Well, that's why they built Camp David there, right? It wasn't an accident. They wanted a beautiful place to build it, and that's where they built it. So, okay. Cheetown's in the house. Can we have a gold stunner time check? I think we just did. Craig, with work from home becoming the norm, the truth is the dress genre is shrinking. It's not a criticism, but it's true. Well, I think it's been shrinking just because people don't like to dress up. People don't like to dress decently anymore. I mean, they dress like slobs. So yeah, I mean, duh. But I mean, just because everybody else is doing that doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I've always kind of, uh, you know, uh, traveled my own path, if you will. When the crowds are going one direction, I'm usually going the other direction. That's how that works. Um, let's see here. I have one piece that it took at my desk. I'll send it over. Okay, cool. I remember the last time I took a long stroll was at that historic cemetery across from Baysock Stadium last summer. Yeah, it's Keys. I think they call it Nvidia Field or something. I don't know. But the Keys, Frederick Keys, play in that stadium. Yeah, and there is a nice Mount Olivet Cemetery. They're actually sponsors on Frederick.com. They're one of my clients. Yes. Just because business dress is less important doesn't mean you shouldn't dress well. Hey, it just means that since everybody else are dressing like slobs, if you dress decent, then you have a real competitive edge over them. People are going to take you seriously. They're going to want to do deals with you. I mean, they don't want to do deals with bums because they don't know if the bum's even going to be around the next day. They want to do business with people that are successful. So if you dress nice and you wear like an 002 stunner, you're going to have a big competitive advantage. And I always like to have advantages. I don't play fair, folks. I don't play fair. I always like to have advantages. Craig, never let go of the 002 until they find a way to wear a Bitcoin on the wrist. I'll tell you what, I can't imagine what I would replace it with. I don't know how I would one up the 002. I don't think I can do that. Triforce Rich is in the house. He sent a pic. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. You pull up my email here and take a look at this. Stunner alert in the house. Actually got a couple of emails here. Got one from Lance too. I also have one from Lance yesterday, I think, that I didn't show yet. So we'll show that next also. Oh, cool. Look at this. Let me see if I can zoom in before I show it to you. I want to get a little closer. One more. Let's see. Oh, cool. All right. Hold on a second. You guys, I don't know if I should show you guys this. This is too stunning. Whoa. Look at that puppy. Nice. And the bezel's in good shape. It's got a little bit of rounding on it, so obviously it's had a little bit of use. But I mean, it's definitely not terrible by any means. Looks very, very nice. Well done. Well done. Now it's a young man's watch because again, there's not a lot of contrast between those hands and that dial. So you want to have decent eyes, right, to read that one. But, you're young. You've got great eyes. You're not going to have any problem with that for at least 20 years. So, wow. I say, wow, wow, wow. I say 2 thumbs up for the gold stunner. Okay, let's look at the one that Lance sent. And let me go back and see if I have the one from yesterday. Yeah, here's the IWC from yesterday that he sent. And it's a small photo. Next time, Lance, make sure it's a bigger photo. This one's awful small. But that does look nice. I like the lugs. I like everything about it. That's a very elegant piece. Very elegant piece. Very nice selection. But try to find a bigger picture next time. Okay, let's see what else Lance has here. Yeah, we've seen this model many times. We've talked about this model. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I still prefer the 002, personally. I prefer the 002 for like a whole lot of reasons. Not the least of which it's a spring drive. I don't think that one is a spring drive. So, there you go. But okay, Philip. Craig, even if you dress decent, the context is often more relaxed now. That's why APPP sports are better than your dress. Yours looks like a 15-year-old watch. Not true. Not true at all. No, no, no. Even if you're dressed casually, like let's say you're wearing khakis and a shirt like I have on now, this watch is much more attractive than a Royal Oak or any of those ugly watches. I wouldn't wear any of those ugly watches under any circumstances. I don't care how I'm dressed. I wouldn't wear an ugly watch. I'd pass on the ugly watches. We have shows here where we've talked about that, where we don't wear ugly watches. So if you want something a little sporty, go with the Date 8. Don't go with a Royal Oak or in any of those ugly watches. Those are just not a good way to go. Cheetown's in the house. Craig, I say we should convert all our front doors into Dutch doors so we will never have to buy pants again. Let's see here. Good point. Why did this just jump? Shoot. Now that we can conference from web cameras, we can wear dress shirts and save money by not buying dress slacks. There you go. Absolutely. Lance, Craig sent a picture. Okay, we looked at that. Sorry. Okay, I read that. Okay, I read that. And Craig, I say we should convert all. Okay, we read that one. This thing jumped on me. That's why I'm having to reconfigure here. Nautilus and Royal Oak get no love on this channel, but I see where you are coming from. I prefer real sports watches like Rolex. They're just not attractive watches. I mean, the Date 8 is 10 times as attractive as a Nautilus or a Royal Oak. I mean, my gosh, you can't even compare. If you want something like that, get a Date 8 and be done with it. And yes, you're going to have more of a real sport watch. You're going to have something that's rugged and that, can take a lot of abuse. You're going to have a real watch on your hands if you're wearing a Date 8. Leon's in the house. Sometimes the folks that look like bums might have a lot of money. In the 21st century, the scruffy, unwashed dirtbag look is in. Not generally, though. No, not really. Usually if they look like a dirtbag, walk like a dirtbag, talk like a dirtbag, usually they are a dirtbag. That's the way that works. That's the exception to the rule when they're not a dirtbag. Carlos is in the house. Amazing watch. Congratulations. Yes, Triforce Rich. Is that the Date 8 that Tony Soprano wore in The Sopranos? No, I think that one had more wear and tear on it. I don't think it was in as good a condition as the one Triforce Rich got. Let's see here. The end links have some stretch. And that didn't look like it to me. It looked pretty good. Let's go back to that picture. It looked pretty good. I didn't see much stretch at all in that picture. Let me see here. Let's pull this back up. Pull it back up. And I'm going to zoom in. Okay. That looks pretty good. It looks pretty tight from that angle. It's hard to tell, but it looks pretty good. They're not like completely tight, even from the factory. They've got a little bit of play there. So I mean that looks pretty good. I'd have to get some better pictures to tell for sure, but looks pretty good to me. Let's see. Okay, and let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see. At Eduardo, no. Then links on the 18 tooth are not flush to the case. All are like that. Well, no, it's no. It's flush to the case. It's carved down a little bit. It's tight to the case. It should be. Let's pull it back up again here. Okay, let's take a closer look here. All right. Okay. All right, what he's talking about is right here, this section right here. That's just part of the design of the thing. But this part of the solid end link here, it should be completely tight against the case. There should be almost no gap at all through here or on the sides. It should be very tight to that case, and I'm sure it probably is. But that's the way it's designed, and this photo is deceptive. It looks very good. The end result, it looks fine. Is you see on the top, you can see better where there's literally a piece right here that it mates up to. I mean, and it works fine, and it looks fine in actual real life. It's going to look fine, and it is tight to the case. Okay, let's see here. Triforce Rich. Okay, I didn't know. Learned something every day. Okay, California. Rolex is good, just too mainstream. Day dates aren't that mainstream. You don't run into them every day. You run into Submariners and other sport watches all the time, but not day dates that often. I hate to break the news to you. Let's see here. Eduardo, 6-digit is when Rolex end links started having 0 gaps. Again, there shouldn't be any gap on that 18238. There should be no gap. If there's a gap between that end link and that case, then something is wrong, seriously wrong. There should not be a gap. Let's see, Triforce. Fella, I would rather go extra unconventional and get a Vacheron overseas. If you want to go unconventional, get an 002. You're not going to see them every day. Craig, how accurate is your GS 010? We checked it yesterday, and I think it's plus 8 seconds for about a month. I think it's about plus 8 seconds for a month, which is not bad. That's acceptable to me. The specs call for plus 15 seconds, plus or minus 15 seconds a month, and I'm plus 8, so I'm very happy with that. Of course, my diver's like plus 1 or 2 seconds in 5 months. I mean, it's insanely accurate. 231 there on the left. It's probably the most accurate 231 in the country, if not globally. It's insanely accurate. Got really lucky with that one. Let's see. Chi-Town, it's just annoyingly how badly they trade, can never sell. I don't know what that is, what you're talking about, what you can never sell. Let's see. And I hate the Royal Oak because of the bezel screws. It's like buying an expensive car that shows all the screws attaching the door panel. Yeah, I know. It's insane. It's just ugly. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. They think it's cool? No, it's not cool. It's not hip. Eduardo, hey, Craig, had another offer on the Oyster Perpetual date today. $300 more than the last one. Well, at some point, you better take the money. Make sure it's cash money. Skinny chicken bone wrists wearing Royal Oaks and Nautilus on Instagram made them uncool to me. I hear you. Let's see here. That's why the overseas is a good buy. The 5711 is stupidly overpriced for what it is on the gray market. Craig, what do you think about the Rolex Deep Sea? I would pass. I'd pass on the Deep Sea. It's too thick. So yeah, I wouldn't go there. Chi-Town, if you want a high-class Patek you can wear casually, then get a 5170. That's a stunner and would go great with anything you wear. There you go, a 5170. To my eyes, it looks perfect. Chi-Town, you can never sell an overseas, though. Okay. Well, again, you shouldn't be buying watches to sell them. If you're buying watches to sell them, that's probably a mistake in the first place. And we're going to talk about bad decisions and decisions having ramifications maybe later in the show, because I've found that there are a lot of people that are making bad decisions, and they're ending up with bad outcomes because they made the wrong decision in the first place. So that's a thing to think about. Let's see. Steve says, nice watch, dude. Your wrists are tiny. No, I mean, he doesn't. That looks good. It looks perfectly good on his wrist. I wouldn't say his wrist is tiny. I think it looks great. Let's see here. Remember, the Date 8 has quite a bit of wrist presence, the 36 mil Date 8. It doesn't look like your typical 36 mil watch. Traverse wrist, it's very tight, but it has a gap that is not visible in non-macro shots. That's how 18238s are designed, as Craig stated. Okay. Why do you have to sell an overseas? Okay. Let's see. Patek should make a small chronograph like a 36 or 37 mil size. Okay. Let's see. Jipu seemed like a spammer. Okay. I like optionally and flexibility to change my mind, etc. That can be expensive in the watch game, changing your mind a lot. That can cost you a lot of money. Because watches are not easy to sell, especially high dollar ones. And it can be tricky to do so. Let's see. David says looks great, and Blue says hello. There's no gap. It's the same as yours, Craig, but what Eduardo means is the new ones have zero space between the end link and the case, which is a different design. Okay, there you go. Measures 10 times, measure 10 times and cut once, yes. Tipu, it was spam to me announcing an unrelated channel. Okay, overseas is the hipster contrarian's choice. Okay, and let's see what else here. Let's get caught up here real quick. Where is Lamont? That's a good question. Okay. Last time someone saw him with his neck under a police officer. No, please tell me that wasn't Lamont. Please tell me that wasn't Lamont. Please. You know the latest on that thing. The latest on that thing is that they're thinking about classifying the cause of death as COVID-19. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Stay tuned. Stay tuned for updates on that whole thing. I think VC will make a comeback and be more mainstream. Okay, Vacheron. Okay, Lance is in the house. It would be hard for Patek to make a smaller movement to fit the 36 mil case, but would be a great watch for people with small wrists. There you go. Craig, it's not about buying to sell. It's about buying and having optionality that allows you to buy more pieces if you have the flexibility to sell. That's why GS sucks. Again, I mean, I would not recommend doing a lot of buying and selling of watches because that's a good way to stay broke, you know, and if you want to stay broke, just keep buying and selling watches. That's a good way to do that. Jipu's in the house. A Patek chronograph would have a service interval of 3 months. Fella, that's just a stupid comment. Yes, it was. And that's how people stay broke, is they make stupid decisions like that, buying and selling watches because they bought a watch they weren't happy with and had it for 4 months, and you know they want something else to show off in social media, so they sell it for a big loss, and then they buy something else, and then they're not happy with that because that didn't fulfill them, and so they sell that at a big loss, and then they buy something else, and then 5 years later they don't realize why they're still broke. They've been spending all their money on watches and not getting anything else done also. James Scott is in the house. Look at a Grand Seiko in person and experience the workmanship and the sweep of the spring drive. This is how you find the last watch brand you'll ever buy and cure watch acquisition disorder. There you go, James Scott. That's right. Buy the watch that's really all that in a bag of chips, like this 002. I could make a legitimate argument. I could make a legitimate argument that this is the finest dress watch ever made, and that it's also versatile enough to wear in almost any circumstance. Not only can this be used as an elegant dress watch, but it can be used just like I'm wearing it right now. It looks great, especially with the deployant clasp, the 18 karat gold deployant clasp and everything. It just looks great on wrist. And how can you possibly improve on that? Let's see. Craig, what are your thoughts on the cop situation? Should the DA charge him with murder? Triforce Rich. I'll give you a couple of thoughts on that. Tim's in the house. Lamont is probably working, making things happen. Eduardo, wait, so the 002 doesn't have the spring drive movement? Yes, my 002 has the spring drive. Cheetown, you should, fella, don't just write off a watch and say it sucks just because you can't make money off it. That's what cynics do, okay? Eduardo, it's a manual wind spring drive, pretty cool. The O2 has spring drive movement, yes. And 5 years later, after buying and selling watches, one ends up not having a watch you like. Triforce Rich. So Craig, think steel stunners will die to me now that I have a date. I'm keeping my GMT for life, but my two-piece combo may have me set. Yes, absolutely. With the date and the GMT in rotation, duh. I mean, you're done. That's perfect. That's a perfect rotation. Leon's in the house. Us watch folks call it watch flipperitis. I would expect better accuracy from a spring drive movement. Craig, please explain what the tolerance are plus minus 15 seconds. Well, they came out with a newer model of spring drive that is thermal compensated that does have better specs. I think it's plus or minus 10 seconds a month. But the spring drive has never been as accurate as the 9F. The 9F, which is a full-blown quartz, is the most accurate that Grand Seiko offers. Then there's the spring drive, which is, of course, more accurate than an automatic movement, much more accurate than any automatic. No Rolex is going to be plus 8 seconds a month. I mean, that's extremely rare for a Rolex to be that accurate. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's pretty damn accurate, if you ask me. So let's see. When the PO gets charged, it will end up being manslaughter charge rather than murder, says Blue. The 002 is absolutely a stunning watch, but I like my dress watches no more than 36. Vintage size 002 is 38. Case makes it more like my... I think it looks great. I think the size looks great. I think it's perfect. Depends on the size of your wrist, though. If you have small wrists, I would agree. I would go down to a 36. Let's say if you have under 7-inch wrists, but anything 7 inches or up, I think you'd be good with this one. Was the PO overweight? He didn't look that much overweight. Craig, do you think the CCP's takeover Hong Kong will help drive up Bitcoin? It might. Will Bitcoin ever be less than 4,000? I think that's wishful thinking. It might. You might get one more dip down and one more opportunity to buy. I'll show you the buy order that I have in right now in a minute. Let's see. Let's catch up on the date. Looks better than 200K acrylites like Dick Miller and yeah, absolutely. Date is stunning. Okay, here's the thing on the police thing. Okay. First of all, I find it a little bit bizarre that the guy was choked when the knee was on the back of the head. I would think that you could still breathe through the trachea? Is that where you're breathing through in the front here? Because typical chokehold, you need pressure on the back and the front. So, because you're basically, you're cutting off this area here to keep them from breathing. So, that's a little bit bizarre. Now, why on earth the police officer needed to stay in that position for 4 minutes when there's other cops standing around twiddling their thumbs? Why they couldn't get this guy cuffed and get him under control in like 20 seconds time or something? I mean, that's bizarre. That I don't understand that. Under no circumstances do I understand him staying in that position for 4 minutes. Like he's reading a book or something with his knee down on this guy and he's just sitting there for 4 minutes. I mean, that is insane. So there's a lot of things that are really bizarre about this whole scenario, you know. I mean, so hopefully a bunch of facts will come out and they can make determinations based on the facts. But now, of course, the whole thing's become political. And so once that happens, you know, who knows what's going to happen. Anything can happen at that point. So yeah, some bizarre things there, but that's all I can kind of say on that right now because there's a lot of facts that are not known. And Jaden says, congrats, Triforce. Okay, and we talked about Bitcoin under 4,000 a month. I thought it was per day. Okay, yes, agreed. It's still very accurate at Eduardo. Okay. You serve day date looks better than 200K. Okay, well, I already read that one. I'm sorry. Lance and I talked about to my watchmaker and said probably won't ever buy a Submariner because 36 millimeter fits nice on me and a 40 millimeter oyster case would probably be too big. Well, my gosh, but like a 36 mil date 8 is stunning on any wrist, really, I think. Lance is in the house. Craig, what are your thoughts on the new Invicta 1953 sub homage? Well, if it has solid in links, if it's like the 9937, wasn't that one the 9937, the one I did a review on? That's really a solid piece. If it's like that, then yeah, I think it'd be cool. But the 9937 is like the benchmark gold standard for an Invicta. Depends if it's a blood choke or an air choke, okay? Eduardo, the old 40 millimeter cases were great on small wrist, okay? The older, yeah, the non-super case. There was one cop on his back and another on his neck. Wow, okay. There's Asian girls that wear 40 mil, okay? That knee on the throat was neither approved nor allowed by the Minneapolis police, neither was turning off body cameras when those MPD officers shot the yoga instructor. But I don't think his knee was on the throat. I think his knee was on the back of the head, the back of the neck. See, if it was on the throat, I can understand that choking him. But the back, I don't get that. But anyway, whatever it is what it is. And then there's also rumors the guy was on drugs and so forth, and maybe he actually had an overdose at the same time. He kind of, so the cause of death is going to be very interesting on this whole thing. See what they come up with on the cause of death. Anyway, I like the sub, but I too agree that the 40 millimeter case is big. On paper it sounds okay, but in person a sub would look big on many wrists. Well, especially the super case is ugly right off the bat. So I would pass on the super case just on general principles. Triforce is in the house, and because justice for that guy requires looting TV from Target and rioting. Yeah, that's a whole thing. And again, we go back to what I mentioned earlier about decision making, folks. If people make bad decisions, very often it doesn't end well, right? Clearly, this guy made some bad decisions, right? He was involved in committing a crime. He was mixing it up with white police officers. He's a black guy, okay, mixing it up with white police officers. This is not a recipe for success in life, all right? So I think people need to start thinking about the decisions they're making in life and the ramifications of those decisions, right? Just like buying an ugly watch. If you buy an ugly watch, you're going to be stuck with an ugly watch. I mean, that's the way that works. And so, think about it. Think about what watch you're going to buy and buy one that's a stunner, right? You're going to be wearing that thing on your wrist, supposedly. Now, if it's just going to be a box watch, then who cares? If you're just buying a box watch and, it's going to be sitting at home in the box, then it's not a big deal. But if it's going to actually be on your wrist, I think it should be a stunner like that. I think it should be a stunner. You're not going to see me wear an ugly watch. I can tell you that right now. Even those two on deck right there, those two batters up on deck, those are both stunners on wrist. I mean, that 231 diver looks stunning on wrist, as does that 005. It's not an accident, folks. Make decisions. Make the right decision. Let's see. Lance, stay away from Invicta, Movado, Tag, save for the date chest. Yes, back off from that keyboard. The pre-ceramic sub does not look big at all. It looks a lot better than the super case sub, absolutely. Triforce Rich, I don't know, but I only took out one link from the oyster perpetual date and the second to last micro adjustment. Okay. I'm not going to buy an Invicta, Movado, or Tag, but I do love my vintage Movado. That's the only exception. There you go. Eduardo, unless you have an under 6-inch wrist, I don't see the pre-ceramics being an issue. There you go. Didn't Dogman supposedly leak the new sleeker design for an upcoming Submariner? I saw a thumbnail of some video where he claimed that he had some insider information leak. I didn't watch the video, but I saw it in, on YouTube. I saw the thumbnail. Let's see. Lance and Eduardo, yes, my sub really wears big. Okay. Carlos, Dogman's photo seems pretty much the same as the current ones to my eyes. So no real information there. Triforce Rich, be served. The lugs were slightly smaller and there was a crown between the Swiss made. Still looked a lot like a super case. Well, if they keep the super case, that's a total fail. They should admit when they did something wrong and they should just fix it and move on. I mean, it's not the end of the world to fix it and move on. My gosh, even Apple does that sometimes when they screw things up. Like those keyboards and so forth. They fix them and they move on. They don't make a big deal out of it, but they just fix it and move on. There was that policeman in the U.S. who shot the poor Australian lady in her pajamas. Lance, here's the thing. Again, this comes to personal decision making, right? Don't mix it up with the cops. Stay the hell away from them, right? Don't mix it up with the cops. They're not paid that much money. Let's face it, decent people these days, most decent people are not going to want to be a cop. It's not a great job to have, okay? So why would you go and put yourself in a situation where you're going to be mixing it up with the cops? Anytime I have any exposure, like if I'm walking and I see a cop or something, I'm always nice. I wave, oh hi, how you doing? All right. The last thing I'm going to do is do anything to get on the wrong side of that guy. He's got a freaking gun, right? He can cause you a lot of harm. So why people want to just choose to mix it up with the cops, I'll never know. This is not a winning game plan in most cases. So that's my advice there. Lance is in the house. He says, vintage Movado is so different from the modern ones. During the 50s and 60s, Movado had the same supplier as Patek for their parts. There you go. Triforce Rich, okay. Well, I'll keep the sub in my radar, but if it's too big, a day date will probably be my last Rolex. Yeah, the day date's the way to go, Eduardo. Day date, absolutely. Skip the sub. Why in the hell would you want a sub if you can get a day date? Let's see. That was in Minneapolis as well. Okay, something not right in Minneapolis. Well, my gosh, it's kind of a little bit of a rough area, right? If anything, I think the original super case better. The new ones look kind of stubby now. Yeah, I would pass on any of the super cases. Let's see, Triforce Rich, the problem is that the garish super case sells to the masses. People like a big showy Rolex. Yeah, people, generally speaking, have poor taste, most people, so you don't want to follow what they're doing. There is a lot that isn't right with Minneapolis. That's that's calling it the way it is, yeah. So, yeah, and when people complain, they say, for example, that this virus thing is disproportionately affecting the poor and affecting people, in certain neighborhoods and so on and so forth. And invariably, it's people that have been making poor decisions. They've been eating the wrong foods. They're obese. They've got diabetes. they're in terrible physical condition, and yeah, this thing is going to affect them disproportionately, right? They've been making these bad decisions for decades in many cases, and guess what? It catches up to you. And even now, even today, with everything we know about this virus and how it attacks people that are overweight and that have various health issues, many of the health issues related to what they've been eating, right? Their diets. Even though we know all this, go to any of the fast food restaurants, go to any of the McDonald's. The people are lined up to get that crap. They're lined up and they're shoveling it into their mouth. And then they bitch and complain that they've got health issues and that there's problems. They're making these decisions. And then somebody says, well, to eat right, it costs a lot of money. You got to buy fresh fruits and vegetables and all this costs a lot of money. Well, here's the thing. For staples to eat, things like sweet potatoes are cheap. Beans, like the black beans that I cook, they're cheap. There's certain things that you can buy and cook and eat that are dirt cheap, that are a lot better for you than that McDonald's hamburger, right? So there's things that you can do that don't even cost a lot of money that you can still eat pretty good. Now, are you going to eat as good as somebody that's affluent? No. But, maybe that means that you should work a little harder and become affluent. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, folks, but there's got to be some personal responsibility laying around somewhere. Let me check this. Somebody's text messaging me in the middle of the damn show. Okay. Not sure what that's all about. Okay, so anyway, when I come to America, I will avoid Minneapolis. I would absolutely avoid it, Tim. Let's see, Lance, but sell everything else except the SKX, and do not think on other watches until you have the date just. No, but he should keep the gold stunner. He should keep his gold stunner, I think, if he's going to wear it. But if it's just going to be a box watch, yeah, I'd sell it too. There's no reason to have a box watch. Cheetown, you're right. The anti-Semite, Oman, I'm Omar, whatever, I can't pronounce her name, represents Minneapolis in Congress. So, of course, Minneapolis is off the rails. Okay. Eduardo, I picture my watch rotation to be an everyday date just, simple looking, nothing flashy, a gold dial Rolex, my oyster perpetual date, and a stunner. The stunner will probably be a day date, Eduardo. Yeah, but you don't need, if you've got a date just, you don't need both the date just and the oyster perpetual date. Why not just wear the oyster perpetual date and the day date in rotation? I think that'd be a good move, Eduardo. Because facts and reason is not what motivates the brain. Lance is in the house. The date just is next watch I would buy. Probably going to sell my tag. Okay, Leon, it's like the folks bitching about voting in person because they're afraid that they will get infected, yet these same folks are willing to stand out and wait at the beer store. Cheetown, substance addiction, don't take a sabbatical from pandemics. And a lovely Brief Fit Dance is in the house, and she says hi. She says hi. And let's see, Carlos is in the house. She says hi to Bree. Lance says hi to Bree. And Cheetown, here's an uncomfortable fact. You're probably more likely to get killed by the cops in a northern city than a southern city. Well, like I said, the best plan of action is to not be mixing it up with the cops. Period. I don't care if you're brown, black, white, yellow, whatever the heck you are. It's a good idea to not be mixing it up with the cops. Okay? It's a no-win situation, folks. It's not a good plan. And Craig, would you go to the shooting range with a date 8? I have. Yeah, I've fired handguns with a date 8. They're fine. Their shock resistance is fine. They're well made. I don't think you'd have a problem. Now, generally speaking, I would wear like the 231. I'd wear something like a diver's watch in that kind of a scenario because they're even designed to be even more shock resistant, to meet the diver's watch criteria. So, and it wouldn't be the end of the world for you to uh, take the watch off and put it in your pocket while you're shooting, and then put it right back on if you want to take some extra precaution. But I have fired with both GMT Master 2s, with I did it with the Red Sub. I've done it with a number of Rolex watches, including the date 8s, including an 1803 date 8 and 18238 date 8. I've fired weapons and never had a problem. So I really don't. I think that's overstated that that's a problem. Triforce Richards in the house. Craig Wood. Okay, I already answered that one. And Stig says, hello, Lady Brianna. Eduardo, I love both your Datejust and your Oyster date, but they are very similar. In my opinion, you should sell the OP date, keep the Datejust, and then save up and buy a date 8. Yes, that would be a good plan. He doesn't really need both. I agree. He's getting good offers, so yeah, take a high offer on one of those things. Cheetown, homeless guy once told me to stay away from the cops because at least in San Diego, if they see you talking to a stranger who has an arrest warrant, they'll haul you in too. Well, there you go. Carlos, I think I still will want a stainless steel watch because don't always want to be breaking people's necks. Eduardo, don't listen to Craig. You need both. Wear one daily and the other for a day out on the boat with a martini in your hand. There you go. Sometimes I go hunting and most people use luxury watches. Yes. No point in a date just when you have a date 8. Just ask Carl. Okay, yeah. Yeah, date 8 can be worn anytime. Anytime, anywhere. Date 8. Absolutely. And I think the 002 can be as well. I think the 002 can be as well. Absolutely. You wouldn't want to swim with it. But of course, I didn't swim that much with my date 8, just because I don't swim that much, period. But it is what it is. I never got into the chlorine in the water and all that stuff. I just never got into it. And when you were down in Florida in the wintertime, the water's not that warm. It's pretty cold. So we'd wade in it, walk along in it and stuff, but I never went full-blown swimming in it. Carlos, isn't hunting restricted in Costa Rica? That's got to be a good one to know. If you want Rolex, Explorer Date 8 is perfect. Like my Datejust because I have it on a leather strap, but sometimes I want a bracelet. Okay. Why do they call it tourist season if you cannot hunt them? Good point. All right, we're coming up on an hour. We're going to wrap this puppy up pretty soon. Let's see. Carlos the Explorer had never really gotten my attention, unfortunately. Gee, when I go hunting in Spain, okay. All right, so there we go. We got a Day-Date Stunner. Day-Date Stunner. Triforce Rich, congratulations. Many, many congrats. Congratulations. And what is that? What year is that one? Let me know if you're still hanging around. Let me know in the chat what year that is. Let's see. Oh boy. Shouldn't yawn while on camera. Tony Soprano wore his date 8 while strangling breaking guys' legs. You can too. Yeah. I mean, it's a sport watch, right? It can take a lot of abuse. It's always open tourist season in Rio de Janeiro's, fellas. Okay, there you go. Thanks. You helped out a lot on the decision. It's a 1995. Cool. Yeah, absolutely cool. Full kit, right? Full kit. Full kit. Wow. That's a stunner. That's a stunner. And did you say it came from Texas? Where did it come from? Tell us about the history on that watch. Tell us about the history on that watch. Do tell. Always like to hear about a date and its history. That's a stunner. That's an absolute stunner. And it says Thursday the 28th. Thursday the 28th. That one was taken at 1:21, coming up on 1:21 p.m. Yep, box papers, says Triforce Rich. I'll tell you what, it is hard to beat that. It's surprising how few manufacturers have come up with something to touch the date 8. I mean, Omega really doesn't have something that stunning. Patek really doesn't have something that stunning. I mean, I don't think I can think of any company that makes something that stunning. That makes something that stunning. That's a full bracelet, full kit, you know, all 18 karat yellow gold. See, this 002 doesn't have a gold bracelet, right? Now, I happen to like the strap. I didn't think I would. I didn't think I'd be a strap guy. I thought maybe, okay, for special occasions, you know, as a dress watch and all that. But I like it just period, just to wear all the time. I find it to be exceptionally comfortable. Didn't think I would do that. I didn't think that would be the case. I thought it would be a specialty use watch. But I'm rapidly coming to the conclusion that I can wear this thing anytime I freaking want to. Anytime I want to. Let's see. Try research. Is the crystal sapphire? I think it is. Eduardo, I like the date 8 with a white tapestry dial with full kit. Probably a needle in the haystack. Try research came from Boston. Bought in 1997. Bought from the second owner. Okay, got you. Cheetown, California. Craig, would you rather go troll trophy hunting in basements or luxury watch hunting on the streets of London? Good question. Eduardo's in the house. Lance, I think most after the mid-'80s is sapphire. Yes. He never wore the watch, so he sold it on. Yep. That's good. If it's just a box watch, you might as well sell it. That was a good move. Triforce Rich, that's good. That's incredible. Eduardo says that Triforce Rich. Yes, that's what you want to do. You want to find a good one. You want to find a good one. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. I think we had a good show. Everybody see all the links in the chat. See all the links in the chat. And be sure to watch part 1 of this series. Be sure to watch part 1. And also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and make sure that you click the little bell. And also, Triforce, if you do get a chance to Skype into one of the shows here in the near future, do it and show that puppy off. Let's see. And let me see if I can get this pulled up so I can end this puppy. So I can end this broadcast. Carlos says, how did you find it? Good question. Very good question. Everybody, thanks for watching.